There is a version of you that no one has ever seen, a version buried beneath years of doubt, fear, and the word impossible. What if the only thing standing between who you are and who you could be is a lie you keep telling yourself? Every person alive carries invisible chains. Some were placed there by failure, some by voices that said you weren't good enough, others by your own mind, repeating the same tired script every single day. These aren't physical walls, they're limits you've accepted as truth. But here's what most people never realize: the ceiling you think you've hit isn't real. It's a boundary you built from old information, outdated beliefs, and moments when you were weaker than you are now. The question isn't whether you can break through, the question is whether you're willing to try. Let's start with the first limit you ever accepted. Maybe it was a teacher who told you that you weren't smart enough. Maybe it was a coach who cut you from the team. Maybe it was a dream you gave up on because someone laughed when you shared it. That moment planted a seed. It told you where you belonged, and you believed it. Then came the next one. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the business that failed. Each time, the voice in your head got louder. See, I told you, you're not capable of more. And each time, the walls got higher. You stopped reaching, you stopped risking, you stopped believing you were built for anything beyond average. Years pass this way. You wake up, go through the motions, and convince yourself that this is just how life is. You watch other people succeed and tell yourself they had advantages you didn't. Better connections, more talent, luck, anything to explain why they broke through and you didn't. But deep down, you know the truth. They didn't have less fear, they just refused to let it decide their future. What would happen if you stopped listening? Here's what the science actually shows. Your brain is wired to protect you, not to push you. When you approach something unfamiliar or difficult, your nervous system sends alarm signals. It floods you with doubt, anxiety, and the urge to retreat. This isn't weakness, it's biology. But here's the part most people miss. That same system can be retrained. Elite performers across every field share one common trait. They've learned to reinterpret discomfort as progress. When their chest tightens before a big moment, they don't run. They recognize it as their body preparing to rise. When they face failure, they don't see proof of inadequacy. They see data, information, a map showing them what to adjust. The limits you think are permanent are actually just patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, patterns you've reinforced so many times they feel like truth. But patterns can be broken. Neural pathways can be rewritten. The person you've been doesn't have to be the person you remain. Your brain rewires based on what you practice most. Now, some will say this is oversimplified, that real limitations exist. Structural barriers, lack of resources, circumstances beyond your control, and they're not entirely wrong. Life isn't fair. Not everyone starts from the same place. There are forces outside your influence that shape outcomes, but here's where the conversation splits. You can focus on what you can't control, or you can maximize what you can. You can't choose where you started, but you can choose what you do next. You can't eliminate every obstacle, but you can decide whether you let them define your ceiling. The people who break through aren't ignoring reality. They're refusing to use it as an excuse to stop trying. Think about the version of yourself that gave up too early, the one who believed the story about not being enough. That version is living a smaller life than they deserved, not because they lacked ability, but because they accepted a limit that was never real. Now think about the people depending on you, the ones watching to see if you'll quit when it gets hard. Your children, your younger self, the person you'll be at 70, looking back and asking whether you tried. Every time you accept a false limit, you teach them to do the same. Every time you push past it, you give them permission to believe they can too. This isn't about motivation. Motivation fades. This is about identity. The person who destroys limits doesn't do it because they feel like it. They do it because they've decided that's who they are. And once you make that decision, everything changes. Who are you becoming? Let's make this concrete. Imagine your comfort zone as a circle. Everything inside feels safe, predictable, manageable. Everything outside feels risky, and uncertain. Most people spend their entire lives trying to make that circle as comfortable as possible. Better furniture, better distractions, a more predictable routine, but the circle never grows. The only way to expand it is to step outside it, deliberately, repeatedly. When you do something that scares you and survive, your brain recalibrates. The thing that was outside the circle moves inside. What felt impossible becomes normal. This is how every major achievement happens, not through one giant leap, but through small, repeated steps into discomfort. Think of it like lifting weights. The first time you try, the bar feels impossibly heavy. Your muscles shake. You can barely finish the set, but if you keep showing up, something shifts. The weight that crushed you last month becomes your warm-up. Your body adapts. Your limits move. This same principle applies to everything. Public speaking, starting a business, having hard conversations, running a marathon. The only difference between you now and the version that can do those things is repetition under resistance. Here's what we know. Your limits aren't fixed. They're learned. Your brain built them to protect you, but they're overprotective. They're keeping you safe from growth. Here's what we don't know yet, whether you'll do anything about it, because knowing this changes nothing. Action is the only thing that rewrites the story. So the question becomes, what happens next? Scenario 1, you stay exactly where you are, confidence level high. This is the path of least resistance. You keep telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year. The limits stay in place, the circle never grows, and one day you wake up and realize you spent your whole life inside a cage you built yourself. Scenario 2, you test one limit. Confidence level, medium. You pick one thing you've been avoiding and do it scared. You don't wait to feel ready, you act while the fear is still there. Maybe you fail, maybe you don't. But either way, you've proven to yourself that you can move when it's uncomfortable, and that proof is the crack in the wall. Scenario 3, you declare war on every false limit. Confidence level, low but possible. You stop negotiating with the voice that says you can't. You treat doubt like bad weather. Acknowledge it, then move anyway. You make a decision that fear no longer gets a vote. This path is brutal. It requires you to fail publicly, repeatedly, and keep going, but it's also the only path to the person you're capable of becoming. The limits you think are real are just old conclusions based on incomplete data. You're stronger now, smarter, more capable. The only question is whether you'll give yourself permission to prove it. If this resonated, watch I Will Rise Again, motivational speech, next. It's about what to do when you've already fallen and need to find the strength to stand back up. This script draws on performance psychology research, neuroscience studies on neuroplasticity, and documented patterns from high achievers across fields. Information is presented for motivational and educational purposes. Individual results vary. Consult professionals for personal guidance.